I want to talk a little bit today about the importance of the B-complex vitamins and how critical they are to proper nervous system functioning. A lot of clients, when they come into my office, they are probably thinking more in terms of Prozac than they are in terms of B vitamins. But in truth, a lot of us can benefit from something as simple as the B vitamins, the B complex. We don't realize it, but for a lot of people walking around in subclinical nutritional states, wherein they're not getting quite enough of the proper nourishment that they need, they're in essence starving their brain cells, they're starving their nervous systems from some very basic fundamental for proper functioning. So the B complex are a grouping of the B vitamins that, as I maybe mentioned, are considered the stress vitamins because they play such a huge role in terms of brain function and overall nervous system health, which is an important thing to understand if you're trying to bring yourself into a more calmer and balanced kind of place where you are maximizing your energy and maximizing your time. So the B vitamins have been used in a lot of ways. They have done studies even with people whom they considered had Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, and in giving some of these elderly patients the B12s or maybe a B complex, but giving them some part of the B family, they've discovered that a lot of these people began to find they had more clarity, there was more comprehension, and that the patients themselves really didn't have a dementia as much as they had a B12 deficiency or another part of the B vitamins. Now, B12 often is associated with these kinds of cognitive impairments, especially as we get older. So it kind of may make sense to kind of keep it on board, especially if you're flagging through the day and need caffeine and you're just needing some energy. We do not always absorb B12 as well as some of the other vitamins that are out there. This is a brand that I take. This is a sublingual quality, which means it goes under the tongue and is absorbed into the system that way instead of through a pill. And there are sprays. At one time I myself was on B12 injections for energy and being really run down. And I do know these can be very helpful. I had a client some years ago who had been having a lot of trouble with depression, with anxiety, and had been on a lot of the different antidepressant medications. I showed him some of the research that I had about B12 and what B12 in particular can do for people who are struggling with depression. He was intrigued enough to give it a go, and he went out and he started using some B12s, and a few weeks later came back to the office to tell me that he was very surprised, but it did work. And he had been pretty much on his last leg because the Prozac and some of the other things were no longer working. Not that they don't work, they do for the right person in the right circumstance, but if, as we get older, we are not ingesting or absorbing the Bs that we do have in our diet, we're going to have some significant impairment in our neurological functioning, in our overall brain health. So he took something like this and ended up doing better. He went to see his doctor. The doctor, unfortunately, did not believe it and said it was probably just a placebo effect. Well, he laughed when he came back into my office. He said, I really don't care if it's placebo effect, it worked. And the other things were not working. So that ultimately was good enough for me. So I do know there is a lot to be said for trying to keep this at a good level within the system. If you're not sure that you're getting enough B12s, or B complex. This is an actual, this is a combination product. It is a liquid B12, but it also contains the B complex. So you can buy them grouped together like that. It's generally recommended that if you take one of them, that you take the whole complex so that they balance themselves out. And if you've been under a lot of stress, you may want to just consider doing this anyway. It's kind of a preventative. When we're under stress, we tend to excrete more of the B vitamins. We tend to not retain them. These are water-soluble vitamins. They do not stay in the system. You do need to get them from your diet. And if you don't get them from your diet, a little supplementation may not hurt at all. So if you're kind of thinking, I wish I had a little more energy, I'm struggling with a little bit with depression or whatever tension, stress it may be, you may want to look at something like incorporating a B vitamin or into your diet, into your way of life. And as I said, generally a sublingual would be the best way, and you can find sublingual B12s with combinations of the B complex in them as well. But whichever brand you find, just check out the different kinds and find one that actually works for your needs. And I think you might find it to be a really positive thing for yourself.